and a 28 Model A Ford Coupe. Let me refresh your memory on what we're looking at. This is what, these are our vehicles that we're going to have our race in. Okay, who thinks that the steam engine is going to win?
Depends. Is this when they're just starting out?
No, clarification. The engine is going that way.
I'll tell her. Okay. So, we got some steam engine people? Yeah. Car people? Well, they would be going the same way. I'm just saying. I couldn't reverse the picture because then the steering wheel would be on the wrong side, and then if I did it on this, then the number's backwards. So, I learned that, so I couldn't do that. Okay. I'll also let you in on the contestants here.
Oh no!
Okay, so here's my dad. In
But he wasn't in the Navy
1944, and he was in the steam engine. This is his girlfriend at the time, Elaine. She was not our mother. Anyway, she was driving the car. Okay. Here's how it went. Now you remember, this is the roundhouse up here, the depot's in here, and here's the main line and there's a road running parallel. Okay, so here's what happened in my dad's words. On a hot summer day, I was ready to back the locomotive into the train when my girlfriend drove up and parked on the street parallel to the tracks on the fireman's side of the locomotive. So that would be on the other side. Fastidiously, I suggested that we race a block and a half to the highway. Not one to decline a challenge, she readily accepted. I switched on the air valve so the bell would ring continuously. So Jim go ding, 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 faster, faster.
Ding, 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 faster.
Yeah, faster.
Ding, 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 faster.
So he's got the bell ringing, and the race was on, and the car was hidden from his view because he's in this big honking engine, right? He can't see in front of him because there is this tender right in the way. He's moving backwards.
Actually, he's going backwards,
Yeah, he's going backwards. So this is the front, and he can't see through the tender. So he cannot see in front of it. He can only see out the side window.
That's the engineer's side right there.
This is the engineer side. He was on the opposite side. So that's why you always see engineers leaning out the window so they can see what the heck was going on. Okay, so he's driving the train backwards, not being able to see. And of course he loses sight of her, and still dinging.
Ding, 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 ding,
And
ding, 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 ding,
he assumed that the girlfriend, Elaine, would just get to the highway in a block and a half and stop and wait for him. That's not what happened. What happened was she drove her car, well, his car.
No.
Drove his car faster than he could get the steam engine up to speed, right? In a block and a half. So she goes out, he doesn't see her, he sees that there's nobody on the highway, so he pulls back on the throttle. He's going faster. Then he sees her, and then he sees her cross in front of him over the tracks, waving and smiling. So, yeah, she won the race. And I can't imagine him doing this when he was not 17, because he was 17 or 18 at the time. It's like, no way. Okay. And that's don't do that at home.
right.
Don't do that at home. Don't race steam engines.
Yeah, you probably should have told that story.
It only happens in the movies. Okay, so here's the next mystery. Where did that hole in the floor come from?
Did you find it?
Yep.
Really?
So, this is actually Jim's story, but I'm going to tell it. So, I'm sure he'll interrupt me if I'm incorrect.
Oh, we will.
So, okay, so what happened was this. This is what happened. Dad was working in the depot, and he met the night watchman, who of course would carry a handgun
Can I,
Because he, yeah,
the gun depicted there does not match the actual
this is a
weapon.
representation, Jim. You were not here for the
I just
earlier
thought I
part.
would just slide that in there.
This is a gun from the era. Okay, so he had a gun, the night watchman had the gun. He was going to sell it to my dad. And of course the night watchman had it so that he could scare off animals or vagrants or people trying to steal engines or try to damage things or something like that. So Dad got the gun. We know he had the gun because it was in his underwear drawer. She shows it to Jim, gosh, 70 years after that. And Jim was like, well, I didn't know you had that. And he's like, oh yeah. And so then he said, well, when was the last time it was fired? And Dad said, 1938 into the depot floor. So now the next mystery is finding the hole, but we think we did.
Really?
Yeah. All right. The big mystery. The big mystery. How do you get an upright piano into the second floor bedroom? So, well, there was some speculation. There was some speculation about these poles you can see the shadows of being able to, able to put some things, some chains or ropes or something. But this is actually on this side of the depot, so that wasn't the right place. So let me just clear it all up. This is a simulation, Jim. This is not an actual video of the day this happened, okay? Just for everybody to know. So first of all, you take out that window. Remember,
That's where I
it
remember.
just slides right in.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it just slides right in. So,
Slides
and here
right
it
in,
is.
yeah, right.
So easy. So what? Remember, Grandpa was on the bridge and building crew, and he knew people as a depot agent. So yeah, he was able to get some people in who had the right equipment. That's probably more how it happened.
And it's still up there.
And it's still up there.
And I might add, it will be up there for eternity.
Oh yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. I thought I had.
I don't think it's tuned though.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
And this version does not have that video that you wanted.
Oh, okay.
But and if you were able to see a little bit here, you can see right a seam where they took the window out. You can see it on this side and just underneath the window on that side and above. So it's like they
Yeah,
took it out.
yeah.
Is that on my desktop?
So that's the end of the line for that. Now we can open it up to questions and we can watch that video too if you want.
Who played the piano?
My Aunt Doris played the piano and she had a beautiful singing voice too. She would come over to our place and play the piano.
No personality,
And,
though.
no. She liked cats, so I liked her.
But she had an awesome dog.
Oh, when she was little, she had dogs.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Did they have a water tower or cold storage? for the-
Cold storage and water tower, Steve.
They had a coal heap. I think they just used city water for because he was just topping off up here.
Yeah.
How do they heat the depot and the upstairs?
Well, there's two chimneys, and I think that where there's a wood-burning stove in the kind of the office area, it's right up against a chimney with one of those plates, so that's where the stovepipe would go. So I think that it's probably would have been one there, and there was probably some upstairs, or a heater of some sort upstairs.
Just the floor opening with the register on top.
Probably,
That's how it
probably.
Heat down here and then let it.
Yeah, the heat would
That was
rise.
most of it.
There was
Yeah,
a
never had heat upstairs.
yes.
I was a friend of Dora.
Oh,
There she is.
no, unfortunately, she passed away. She lived in Washington State, her last several years, and she was an antique dealer, and she dealt with antique jewelry a lot, and had other cats.
A lot of
She-
memories, so.
She's,
I have a
she's
question.
very, she's very
Sitting
nice.
on this bench that's still here.
There is a bench out there. I don't know if it's,
the same one, but watching people get off the plane and
Oh.
off the train and watching what they were dressed in.
yeah. Okay, so I have a question for you
She
then.
was just 2 years younger than I
I have a question for you then. We know they got the piano in the window, and that's right into her bedroom, and that's where it is now. Was it in the bedroom when you knew her, or was it in the main floor?
was. I'm sorry, but I don't remember.
Oh, okay, just curious, just curious. Because it looks like there's room in there for the piano and for somebody to sit at the piano and to have a bed, so I was just curious. Yeah.
Was this the depot, the edge of town?
It's right where it is now.
Would that have been at the edge?
Well,
Why don't you come on
The-
stage?
the lumberyard was always over here. And there wasn't, there, at least in 55, 50, there were houses over here, Western Union, so it wasn't the, you know, the real edge of town because there was houses around, but it wasn't downtown, basically.
Did this railroad go to Jackson later on, Minnesota? Because that was a hub too.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up, because there was discussion when they were building this, to continue it up to Jackson, but it never happened.
It never happened?
Never happened. Because that's only like, what, maybe 20 miles away?
Yeah. And they never had a hub there?
No, no. I mean, it took them,
Could a different railroad have had a hub?
well, they were, no, the Milwaukee had a line going east and west up there, a main line, and
They might have done the hub then, maybe. Because I know there was a hub up there of some kind.
I think it may have gone north, I don't know.
Because I listened to the guy that did that one time up there too.
Yeah.
Do you know? I don't know. Check that out.
Because we have that paper saying what,
When was the depot closed? Was that when the last agent left? Or did the
19
depot, did the,
19
was no agent here, but the depot was still here?
Okay, the way that worked out is Grandpa retired in '62. They brought the depot agent from Milford to cover this area. 1974 is when they tore up the track and just vacated this building and tore up all the track all the way down to Spencer, except there was a little branch line that came out along Highway 71 to a lumber yard or something down there.
Menards. Menards out there.
As far as I know, the only
No.
pieces of trackage on that whole line is Albert City, because they loaded corn, it's a big commercial area for shipping corn. And then down in Clive, about 10 miles of industrial trackage. And that's about all that's left now. By the way, there was a shootout in the Albert City station. 3 people were killed. All because the train was late. No.
That's how you feel on an airplane. What do you think?
yeah.
I worked at Milford Block and Tile as a summer employee, and we would get cement there by rail. And I think the other shipper on the line that was further north was the elevator in Milford, but I don't think there was much traffic into Spirit Lake at all.
Basic.
Other than when Wilson Boat Works would get shipments of boats, because they came in box cars.
Yep.
And they were unloaded on the team track down probably where the city garage is now. And they would, you know, roll them out on their cradles. They put pipes underneath the cradles, and they'd work them around and get them slid out the door, and then they'd roll them on the pipes and put them on the back of a flatbed and take them down to Okaloosa.
I think their most active customer was the lumberyard up here. Because every time we come up here, there'd be box cars or flat cars with lumber or whatever
Okay.
over here.
That would make sense, but I know there was track on this side.
Yeah, that,
Which
on the
would
west
have
side,
been-
on the west side, it went up. It was like a team track, and then it went up to, they had their own unloading site up there at the
Okay.
lumber yard. Yeah,
I noticed on the one map that it looked like there was actually a connection from the Milwaukee to the Rock Island, but I don't recall that ever being in place.
yeah, that's interesting you bring that up, because, you know, when I was 12 years old, I wasn't much of a master railroader, but I was wondering, because the end of the line for the Milwaukee and their main line out there, it wasn't more than 20 feet.
Yeah.
And on that map up there, it just shows a little curve, but as far as I know, I couldn't find that there was ever a connection there.
I don't
And
think-
that may be going back to, okay, they put that in because if they wanted to go to Jackson, they probably had to go that way, but I don't know. That's just speculation on my part.
Any other questions?